Alright, this episode, oh my god, yes, this is what I've wanted for a while when it comes to GIF. This is just what we needed in terms of a big display of just how powerful a villain we're facing, just how screwed our heroes are, and probably one of the most unique new form reveals or new writer reveals I've seen in Kamen Rider for some time now. But let's dig deep into the episode in question so we can go through all these points, shall we? Kamen Rider Revice, episode 35, Unknown Threat, The Way We Should Go. So this is the big villain plan that they've been planning for a minute now. The big reveal of GIF to the world, as well as the totally screwed moment for our heroes. Now, so what happens? So the episode basically follows up from the end of last week. The villains have a total victory over our heroes, but they decide to let them go. As for why, it's not the typical stupid villain plan of, I'm just going to let you go later, I'm just going to let you go now because you're not a threat to me. Helping is partially that, but also the director of Phoenix, I forget his name again, give me a second, the director of Phoenix, Hideo, the Phoenix director Akihisa, he basically wants the Igarashi siblings alive. For what reason? It's most likely because they're descendants of GIF, and he probably sees them as being worthy of whatever new future of humanity is deciding. Probably one where humans are turned into demons, or Giftarians, or whatever this new form is called, that the Kamen was called into. I think they're called GIF Demos. I don't know if that's the name for the species, or if that's specifically her. But anyway, the GIF Demos. So, basically, I don't know if the plan is to turn all humanity into GIF Demos, or turn all humanity to be more like the Igarashi siblings. We don't know what the ultimate plan is outside of put GIF in charge of humanity. So he's planning the big speech we found out about last week, and the Igarashi siblings are planning to deal with it, with Daiji basically cementing his ideal of, I will be the one to stop him, in an almost nearly suicidal way. They keep mentioning how Daiji doesn't have his dark side anymore because Kagero's not there, and he's being completely driven by his lighter half. And that might actually be a bad thing because it's driving him to some very, very far points of his obsession with trying to root out the evil in Phoenix. Like, in an almost death march way, especially considering what happened last week and what's going to happen this week. Now, they have a bit of a talk, obviously everyone's talking about what to do and how they're going to deal with it, and then we also have a moment where Icky and Vice basically root out the stuff that Vale was putting in Vice's head for the past 2 weeks about him being a demon and stuff like that. Ultimately speaking, they all show up on the meeting location, at the speech location, with Daiji's plan to attack the director, force him to reveal his gift powers, and basically uproot the asshole. But the plan is hijacked by his own plan, which is to give the speech and then have Akemi and a bunch of Giftarians alongside GIF pop up and show off their power. Obviously, because he has no other choice, Daiji fights against Akemi, as well as a bunch of Giftarians, which Icky and Sakura fight against. And then Vale shows up to make matters even worse. We also find out the deal that Vale and Akihisa came up with is basically Akihisa appears to be using the Revice stamps to give Vale the power he needs to run independently from Genta, as Vale wants to still get his revenge on Genta and beat his ass for betraying him. I haven't seen the Vale special yet. I think the final episode's out, so I'll probably do a whole series on those pretty short specials. But anyway, Vale's ultimate plan is still to get revenge on the Igarashi family, specifically Genta, beat down his ass, as well as, dealing with all that situation. George is on standby with the Demon's Driver, but he still has a broken arm from last week when he's met by Hikaru. For those of you who don't know who Hikaru is, because I haven't mentioned him, he is Sakura's simp. I'm only partially joking. He's the member of Weekend who was basically the guy who drew Sakura in and is also her bodyguard, at least on paper. Because, the girl that you sit in the front lines really needs a bodyguard. Like, I admit it makes sense for her to have a more, common, you don't have to bodyguard guy. But he hasn't really done much in this series outside of basically be kind of creepy and lead to the ultimate Weekend reveal. But he basically has been having this little mini character arc for the past, I guess, 3-ish episodes where he wants to do his job and protect Sakura. Maybe because he has feelings for her or because of his duty as a member of Weekend. It's hard to tell because he doesn't have that much of a character. I do also kind of like his story, though, and I kind of like this joke of him basically being Sakura's simp. Especially because he has a really fun dynamic with Tamaki. I'm going to give up calling him on his dead man name. He's Tamaki now. Or Go Tamaki. But every time I say Go, I associate it with the Pokemon character, so I'm just going to call him Tamaki. Anyway, so, the plan is going bad, except for everyone for Akihisa, whose plan is going really well, when Gift shows up. Ikki decides to do probably the smart move and tries to take Gift out, but because he doesn't have his final form yet, we're not at the final episodes yet, Gift just wrecks shop with his ass, and then knocks everyone the fuck out, while also destroying every piece of Phoenix equipment in the nearby vicinity. And obviously, because rules of having a helicarrier, the helicarrier has to crash down. I feel sorry for George's figures, because those are now at the bottom of a lake, or the ocean. Because that shit went down like the helicarrier in so many Marvel comics / TV shows. And I think it went down in one movie, I'm not remembering. I know it almost went down in Avengers, the first movie. But I don't know. I mean, it brought down the other ones in Captain America Civil War. Not Civil War, I mean Captain America the Winter Soldier. Yeah, so many Marvel movies. So many helicarriers crashing. Anyway, so, yeah. Everyone's beaten back. And basically everyone's on the ground. Hikaru comes in with a Demon's Driver. Because remember, George was modifying it to basically be usable to anyone without the side effects that happened when Hiromi used it. And he also uses the Stack Beautify stamp to transform into Kamen Rider over demons, who, despite using demons as a base form and having some veil attachments, is classified as his own rider and not as just a power-up to demons. I mean, on paper that makes sense, but also on paper, it's kind of weird that it's its own rider and not just, a power-up to demons. But, I guess it makes a naming sense because he's over demons. He's gone beyond the power of demons to stand on his own. Despite the fact that would make more sense for Hiromi, but I guess we're never getting Hiromi back because reasons. I still haven't watched the Hiromi special. I might watch it now because I don't think he's coming back. Anyway, so Hikaru basically rushes in, and you'd think he would do the new form thing and curb stomp the bad guys, or at least curb stomp a bad guy, but he takes out the gift area in one hit, and uses his finisher to take the siblings and and Vice, and GTFO, because they are fucked. Yeah. So, everything went according to Akihisa's plan. Phoenix is basically destroyed because he destroyed most of Phoenix. And he basically showed a display to the world of just how fucking strong Giff is. While maybe faking his own death. He looked to die on screen when Akemi attacked them. So he might be considered dead to the public, although he's not actually dead because, he's still the main villain. Because Giff is basically just a power source. But, yeah, that was the episode. And if you thought last week was the group being totally fucked, nah, man, they're still totally fucked. Okay, so, overall, Last week was the group being totally fucked. This week is the group being totally fucked. They need some help, and maybe Hikaru will be what they need to get over on the villains. Because so far the bad guys have formed a more effective unit than I've seen in Kamen Rider for quite a while in terms of villain factions. Even if GIF is literally a plank of wood, like, I wonder if we're gonna do a thing where, like with Game Deus, how he was technically the final threat of X-Aid, but he ended up being merged with I forget his name, but Kronos. Him and Kronos merged to be the actual big bad of X-Aid. I wonder if we're gonna get something like that, because GIF doesn't really have a personality. Like, Kamen Rider does obviously like having villains that are just super powerful, evil, enemy things, but also like having villains that the heroes can have a talk with mid-fight about their ideals and something like that for big dramatic speeches. And obviously the person that the group would be able to do that with at the moment is Akihisa. So it makes me wonder if at some point in the series Akihisa will basically pull a Black Zetsu and just be the literal mouthpiece of GIF attached to his body in a way. Or if we're going to get a situation where Akihisa merges with GIF and becomes GIF's dominant personality. Like, for some reason, he just manages to take GIF's mind over, or GIF suddenly develops a personality because he merged with Veil or something. I don't know what we're going to do here. Like, maybe Veil will just decide to merge with GIF and basically take GIF over, similar to, I forget any names, but the enemy general in Kira Major, like for those stretch of episodes before the villain ultimately decided to say, nah fam, I'm the one actually in charge of this operation, in Kira Major. I'm making a lot of Toku references, where the villain is basically on the sidelines for a more popular enemy general, and then basically the general either subsides them, and or the general believes he subsides them before they reveal they're just too strong to be subsided. I mean, that keeps happening, and I wonder what's going to happen here, because again, GIF doesn't talk. But GIF is damn strong. Like again, GIF right now is nothing more than a giant block of power that is, well, nebulous at best. Like, we know it apparently will take over humanity from what Akihisa has said, because Akihisa is essentially GIF's mouthpiece, as I stated. But we don't exactly know what GIF is. GIF is kind of an alien because he's referred to as an extraterrestrial, so it leads to a lot of confusing questions. But you know what? Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. GIF is just really damn strong, and our heroes have to find a way to stop it from taking over the world. I do like the fact that Akihisa manages to ham it the fuck up in this episode. Again, I like hammy villains in Kamen Rider. It just feels like it fits really well. And he is hamming it the fuck up, and I am loving every second of it. His goofy ass face and expressions, it is so perfect. You can tell he is loving his bullshit. He's spouting his bullshit and loving every second of it. And again, I love it when the villains are having fun. He seems to be having fun in this moment, fucking with Daiji. They're like, you have to protect me, Daiji. Like, I'm pretty sure this dude's like a man going, you have to protect me, Daichan, just to fuck with Daiji's head, because he seems to have a hobby of fucking with Daiji in one way or another, and I'm perfectly happy. That's a perfectly fine hobby. Fuck with Daiji's head. It's funny. It's just so fucking funny. I didn't mention it, but there was like a quick talk between Hikaru and Takumi in a little park, where Takumi basically trying to give Hana some, I think, ice cream, maybe some treats, but he doesn't know where Weekend's base is, so he basically asked Hikaru to give it to her, because Hikaru's in the middle of this park doing training exercises. I mean, he's doing the whole classic martial arts training, where he's just throwing punches in the park by himself at night. It's kind of weird setting, but you know what? Do you, buddy? I'm pretty sure that might be by the Weekend base. But anyway, Yeah, and they have a quick talk where it's mostly just Tamaki on the sidelines talking about how he wants to change and grow stronger so he can protect Hana because he's still her number one simp. I mean, it makes sense in his character's case because she was the person to give him hope, even if it was to delude him into joining an evil cult. But you know, whatever helps you get through the day, my friends, as long as it's not that harmful, despite the fact he was part of a terrorist cult. Oh God, mixed messages all the way. Yeah. So I do kind of like the moment. I kind of want Hikaru and Tamaki to be kind of like the best side character friends because I kind of like their joke of just those two guys alongside Sakura and Hana because that opening last week was just too fucking funny for me. Other news, I do like the talk that Ikki and Vice had. Like, Vice was dealing with the whole, I'm going to be abandoned one day because Vale is an asshole. And I do like that Ikki assuaged his fears and they just had a nice talk and got it out of their systems. Because at this point in their character arc, it would feel like a regress for Ikki to suddenly be all super aggro against Vice. Because we've already had like 5 different moments that solidify the fact that the two are genuine friends. And it'll just feel really weird to go backsliding on that. Again, I do kind of like it, especially because Vice says he determines his own way of being a demon against Vale, even if it wasn't super triumphant, because Vale still kind of beat their ass. And I continue to like Sakura just being Sakura, because her whole thing. Also like that Hana is having a small arc where she wants to fight alongside Sakura, which may or may not lead to something for next week. I don't want to talk about because it's leading to one way, but it might actually be a swerve for another way. We might have more writers. We're currently sitting at about, again, this determines if you combine Ikki and Vice as one writer or count them as 3 writers, because you have Kamen Rider Revi, Kamen Rider Vice, and you have them as Kamen Rider Revice with Thunder Gale. So that's technically, you could count them as 3 separate writers in a way. I was going to say 1 because it makes it simpler. Like, I'm going to count Evil and Live as 1, especially because Evil's gone now. And because, you know, there are 2 sides to the same coin. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 writers, 6 with Overdemons. So we're at 6 writers, not counting the 2s who are 2 and 1 are combined into 1. Are 2 sides that flip between each other, although one side's gone now. Again, we could be getting more. We're on episode 35, so it feels a little late to be getting so many more writers introduced this late in the game. But you know what? They need all the help they can get. It also makes me question some things about Revice's final form. Again, there's been a lot of the series about cementing the bond between Ikki and Vice, the 2 and 1 thing, and the 2 working together. It makes me question if at some point in the series, if the final form will actually be a continuation of Thunder Gale with Revice, where they have a form that's them combined into 1, or if they'll have a form that's them separated that combines their power. Like, we're getting close to final form debut time. We might have about 5 or so more episodes. It depends on things I haven't seen scans. Like, we're definitely getting it next month because, you know, that final spurt of episodes. So we're definitely probably going to get it next month. And we're also getting another writer this month. So, you know, it's questioning what the final form will ultimately look like. Obviously, we know the final form will be Kamen Rider Revice Live Double, which oh god, this trend of a final form in the last episode. Like, people joke about it starting with Build. I mean, technically speaking, it did start with Build because we also have, no, I forget his name, Sogo, becoming fucking Overlord, becoming the fucking Overlord at the end of at the end of his season. I'm terrible with names. At the end of Zio, he becomes Omazio at the end of Zio for like a split second, similar to Gold Dragon, or is it Gold Rabbit, Silver Dragon? I forget, but it was this Rabbit Dragon form. And then, you know, we've had 01 Rising Hopper. I mean, that's 01 Realize, and obviously Saber with, I'm forgetting the name of that, Almighty Saber. So, again, I'm looking forward to live Devil Revice as this trend continues. And so with that, I'll see all of you guys next time.